welcome to Emergence 2021 Impact Plus show. Sorry guys, this is late. I'm a little lazy today. The weather in New York, there's a tropical storm warning, and when it gets like this, it gets muggy, which is not comfortable. So it makes you feel tired. So it makes you want to sleep. So I fell asleep a couple of times, so I forgot what time it was, and I forgot to look at Emergence, which I managed to finally see. Hope you like this review, and tell me in the comments that I'm an idiot if I get it wrong. There you go. Now, let me put it to you like this. Was this a good show? The matches were good, for the most part. But there were things here I don't agree with, period. First match, you have, why? Rohit Raju versus Matt Cardona. You got Shira on the outside. You got Chelsea Granny on the other side. And the match felt like it didn't need to be there. For me personally, if anyone saw my last Impact review, seeing that Matt Cardona was rushed into a feud with Raju because he had nothing to do, I don't agree with. It should have been built over at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 at the most. The first week, because of what happened in that match, where pretty much Raju was angry and he threw some water across the room and hit Chelsea. That would have been the beginning. The next week, you got Raju seeing Chelsea and Matt Cardona. He bumps into them. He's saying, hey, what's your problem? He said, I ain't bothering you. Yeah, you threw water on my woman last week. Said, be glad I didn't throw something else at her. And it could have started that way. Or they could have prolonged it another week and at least built it up. Now, I'm not saying that this is one of the greatest storylines, but it felt like it was forced. And then worse yet, the match itself. Raju's a great wrestler. We know this. He's a great mid-card wrestler, no problem. Matt Cardona, good wrestler. Shira, typecast. Okay wrestler. Okay character, but is a typecast character. Chelsea Green, good wrestler. Right now, I don't know what her character is. She's just Matt Cardona's woman, his fiancée. So there's nothing there for her yet. But the match was not the issue. It was the length of the match that was the issue. This show was almost 3.5 hours or near 3 hours long. What was it, 3 hours and 10 to 20 minutes long? Why was it so long? You could have done a 2.5 hour show that would have been better. I'm just saying, honestly, after what happened in Rampage, because this started around, 7 or 8 o'clock, and it ended right around 10 or a little after 10, no one was going to care about Emergence. So it would have been better if it had been shorter. I'm just saying, you guys know how I feel. Matt won, but it didn't feel like it was anything because there was hardly any story there. Now, mixed 8-person tag. Why? TK versus Steels, Sahara Evans, No Way Jose, and Falaba. Why? I understand, I don't see BTI, so I don't know what's going on there. I admit, I don't know what's going on BTI, and that could be a very big problem. Sooner or later, I may have to watch it so I can understand why they're throwing these crazy matches out that really make no sense. That's just me, you guys. It's just me. But seeing this 8-person tag, and yeah, they wanted to eat Falaba and saying tasting a little bit of Fala. What does a little bit of Fala taste like? That's at one point when you pretty much had Rosemary, you had Crazy Steve, and you had Havoc biting on a Falaba. I don't know what it was. You couldn't just do a straight match with maybe having what? You could have Falaba working with Sierra Evans, and you could have Crazy Steve working with Rosemary, or Dark Black Tyru working with Havoc. You could have done a regular mixed tag, but an 8, I don't agree with. It made no sense to have it that big. Of course, there could have been a very strong story in BTI, but I didn't see it. And since they haven't showed it on the regular Impact show, don't know either. Let's move on. Macklin versus Petey Williams. Now, it wasn't a bad match, and seeing that Macklin is going through pretty much anyone and everyone is fine. Now, do I agree with him cheating? Giving Petey a little bit of nut shot because he was having problems beating him. It does kind of go with his character, but Macklin is a badass. He doesn't need to cheat to be able to defeat someone. I feel that's the way he should be. He should be, as I said, he is a former soldier who's lost his shit. And he believes that no one can touch him. Nothing could happen. But it also does go along with his character, because when he knows it's not working, he will do whatever it takes to make it work. But kind of wish it didn't have to happen here. But then, in kind of a sense, it's good it happened on Impact Plus instead of on Impact. I'm just saying, it's better that it happened here, even though I'd rather not even see it happen. I'd rather see him just destroy anybody. I don't think the feud is over because he had to cheat to win. Let's move on. The number one contenders match. And this was a good match between Sabin, Moose, Ace, and... I'm saying it was a good match. All the matches here were generally good. Good quality to some very great quality. But honestly, you pick Ace Austin due to the fact that Sammy could not get Moose off his back. Moose was acting very dominant near the end of that match. He was destroying him. Even though you've been kicked and punched and thrown around and everything, he still was dominant until Sammy took a chair that was on the floor that was being used on and off and whacked him behind his back because he was facing backwards. Moose was grabbing over the top rope to get him, and he goes whack. And then a roll-up. Moose loses, but then doesn't lose because he's protected because he got a chair shot straight to the cranium. But Ace Austin, I'm not against it because I'm hoping it means something. But honestly, I'd rather see Moose or Sammy win to go up against the one who won at the end of this show. And I will say it, I don't want to say it here, but what am I saying? We already know Christian won. I'll explain how I felt about the match, but I just don't know if this is the right person to be doing it now. Because how far are we from Bound for Glory? Not far. Unless they're going to have another Impact Plus show, which they could. You're going to have this either on a regular Impact or at Bound for Glory. Which one is it going to be? That's the question. Let's move on. Alright. I am not going in order. The mixed tag of Dana Purrazzo and Matthew Rinwald. I believe that's his name. I think I got it right this time. Versus Trey Miguel and the Melina. Now, this is the only place I'm going to give images because, well, one more. Other than one more. But you see the first shot in my face of Melina when her and Trey came out. Melina does the splits, and you see that look of a Trey looking at that ass. Looking at that not sweet Kruger ass. Then she convinces him, hey, why don't you try it, baby? And there's the second shot of him trying to split and cannot split and messes up his damn groin. It's funny. But here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to you. The match quality was not bad at all. I didn't mind Matthew working with Trey. I didn't mind Dana Purrazzo working with Melina. But why do it at all? Guys, couldn't you have Melina have a match of her own? Couldn't you have Dana Purrazzo have a match of her own? Because that's what this is all about. Trying to show what Dana Purrazzo can do to the Impact, as well as for Melina what she can do on Impact. You got two women who are now on Impact at this moment. They're about to go to NWA Empower and fight for the Knockouts title. And you're going to see this, and you're showing it like this. I'm sorry, guys. No. I gotta say this. I need to say this for one of my subscribers who did not listen to what I was talking about. When you see something like this, I'm not talking about a pay-per-view. The subscriber who was saying there has never been any, and he said this more than once, any full matches ever seen on Impact from another promotion. And he kept saying it was a pay-per-view. I never talked about pay-per-views. Now, mind you, seeing highlights from pay-per-views is understandable. Empower, they can show a highlight. I was talking about a regular show from either Dragon Gate, BCW, from AEW, from Crash, from AAA. They're regular broadcast shows. Listen to my words, my friend. You didn't want to listen. You didn't want to listen. You only wanted to listen what you want to listen to. I was talking about when our own people went to their promotion and there's storylines here and they're going to the other promotion because they're doing a partnership. We need to see it. Saying they'll never show it and then going straight from saying they never show it to never showing pay-per-view is a freaking lie, because we've had matches from Pro Wrestling Noah, from BCW, from Dragon Gate. We've had those damn matches shown on Impact back between 2015, 2017, and 2018. 2016, they were doing joint pay-per-views as well. Between the two, there was like Pro Wrestling Noah did have a joint pay-per-view with us in Impact Wrestling. Crash TV did have a joint pay-per-view. That happened. If you say it never happened, then you have been watching a fucking product. With no disrespect to you, saying fucking product to you, but you're not listening. I've said this for years, my friend, and everyone else. Why is Impact working with these partnerships when they gain nothing? They let their own stars go to their promotions and then nothing happens. See? Very rarely did they do a pay-per-view, a joint pay-per-view together. So when you see something like that, you wonder why the hell they do it. Particularly that Impact doesn't gain anything. Yes, it helps the other promotion to a certain extent, but we don't get anything because they never showed enough of our own people while they're in storylines. While they're in fucking storylines on Impact. You don't see the continuation every single time of those damn storylines. Yes, you may see a highlight of it, but when you see our wrestlers wrestling their wrestlers on regular TV or on YouTube, we don't always see it, so we don't understand what the damn partnership is about. So listen next time when I said we need to watch our own people on those promotions if we're doing joint work. Pay-per-views, joint pay-per-views help both promotions if they do enough of them, because you'll see something of them, you'll see something of us, you'll see something from both of them, and if you're smart, you make sure that some of their people win, some of our people win, and not do a damn SmackDown or Raw where SmackDown gets annihilated. Tell me I'm wrong. And if you say you're not getting it, they don't do it. Bullshit, they did it. So listen, I'm not talking about pay-per-view. I'm talking about regular shows, regular episodes. Now, moving on. Did I forget anything? Yes, and as I was saying, when it comes to Melina, when it comes to Dana Purrazzo, I wish it hadn't happened. I wish they hadn't actually had to match one another. I wish there had just been a regular match for Dana Purrazzo that day, not that night. And for Melina, separate. They could have fought one another. They could have attacked each other. I just don't agree with it. Let's move on. The best match of the night was the X Division match of Josh Alexander and Jake Something. At one point, people were chanting, "This is something." It was a good damn match. It was a rough, hard, tough, active match. There was one point that Josh did 10 German suplexes. Still couldn't stop at Jake Something. At one point, and this will be the only other place I'm going to put a shot, you see Jake get pile drived on the ring skirt by a Josh Alexander and then gets laid out on the floor. Just barely gets back in at the 9 count. In the end, I wasn't surprised that Jake was going to lose. Josh is one of the best people right now, and I state this again, he's one of the best built, best promoted at this moment, and he's the only person I can see to do option C, going into Bound for Glory, because I think that's what's going to happen. that Jake looked good. This really made him look really good. And he could easily be the next X Division champion. Now, going near Bound for Glory, I see Josh Alexander handing in the X Division title and making requests to do option C to go up against Christian Cage, counting if he keeps his title going in to Bound for Glory. That's if they don't make it a triple threat, or if Ace Austin gets his shot at the title on a regular Impact show. That's just how I see it. Now, the triple threat for the Impact tag titles. This was the third best match of the night. It was better than any of the other tag teams that was going on. It was. Not taking anything away from the matches themselves and people working. They really worked hard and it wasn't bad. But I felt this was the best one there. I just felt it. For me personally, you can disagree. Understandable. I was not surprised that the Good Brothers kept the damn titles. But I was surprised to see that they're showing something about Rhino, because they did a little segment beforehand where Rhino was looking really, really frustrated while he's with Violent by Design and seeing Eric Young talk, saying, we are united, but we still have the problem with the disease. And Joe Dorling showed that you can go beyond the disease because he didn't let nothing stop him. But then when the match was over and he got the pin by Carl, you got the Eric Young pretty much pissed the hell off, saying, what was that? So what does this mean? Does this mean that Rhino might be leaving by... I don't know. It's going to count on this. This is why I'm being a little botchy. Because this is going to count if they're going to write the story for Rhino to leave Violence by Design. Because they're going to have to show him getting his ass whooped just like Diener did. Now, if they don't show it, and they start showing him starting to break away, that's not a very good story. They got to show Rhino getting his butt kicked in another room, just like Diener, and then they have to progress, showing that he's getting more and more frustrated with Violence by Design, and then breaks away, hopefully culminating at Bound for Glory. Counting if they go there, you know they don't write that great for smaller stories and smaller groups. They just don't. So, the final match. This is the second best match of the night because of what it meant. But then it's not the best match of the night because of the storytelling. Not the storytelling in the ring, but the storytelling. You got two edge heads. And Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. You have Edge's best friend, who he still does podcasts with, in a Christian Cage. And you don't give it time to build. I'm sorry, guys. I'm angry at this for the simple reason that you could have Christian Cage making this mean something. Of course, you can't have Adam Copeland there. You can't have Edge there. But they can still hint on, look, I know who you are. You could have had him start building up into it. He didn't need to have a Brian Myers do the match now. I'm sorry. He didn't. You could have made this more about a story than about the damn title. Now, mind you, this is the first time that Brian Myers has ever had a chance at a title this big. And I'm not against him having it. But I just really feel like it should have been a story behind it to make it special. Even if he had to lose, it doesn't feel like it's enough for Brian Myers. And I know people would say he's nothing but a damn jobber. Please. He's nothing but an ex-WWE guy. Please. Stop it. Listen. Who cares where he came from? It counts on what this company does with him, not about where he came from. And this is what I've been hearing, particularly one. I know I'm kind of ranting, going to Rampage. I know. Because I still got to talk about how the match was. But Rampage, when CM Punk came out, well, we don't know if CM Punk may show up on Impact Wrestling because he has been on the show. He worked there along with Daniel Bryan, along with Samoa Joe. He's worked there. So when he came out, he did his bit. The show ended. I got one subscriber, basically could not stand. He said he didn't like CM Punk, but he's still saying, oh, he's doing the same complaining shit. What? Stop crying, dude. This is 2021. It's not 2011. You know what? Are you that bitter about something? Are you bitter? Are you angry about something? Why do you watch wrestling? Look, Everyone has told me that. When I was complaining about Impact, when I was complaining about WWE, saying, what is wrong with these products? They need to make them better. At least I gave criticism and solutions. This guy and any other one that's going to leave a comment later is going to say, why do we care about a WWE guy? Well, guess what, genius? You're going to care because this is what we got. We got a huge amount of people who are from the indies that went to WWE and had made their names for themselves before they went to WWE. Now they're back out again and they're being typecast like Muhammad Ali Shira as Muscle and the Indian Lion. Who is the one that's the bad guy here? It's not me. And it's definitely not WWE at this moment. It's you by keep saying they are WWE guys. Who gives a fuck? Cut it out. See these people as what they are. They're wrestlers who worked in a company that treat them like crap, and now we give them a chance to show what they could do. It's not about if they're the best. Every wrestler's ever been known is never been known as the best. It counts on what the crowd will care about. CM Punk crashed Teesprings.com and AEWshop.com. He crashed it by just taking off his sweater, showing his new shirt. He crashed the shit for who knows how long until he was able to get back up because everyone tried to get a shirt. He's not an ex-WWE guy, guys. He made his mark. And here, going back to Impact, going back to this match, Edge, Christian, the Edgeheads, they were known for that. Why not make a story about that? Why not make it mean something for Brian Myers, who is never going to be given anything because when he was back in WWE, the only thing he did was lose in a storyline that didn't even culminate in a win properly. Because the WWE, when he pitched this craziness of doing a losing streak and then finally getting a winning streak to get over, they refused to do it properly. So for me, Brian Myers deserved better. Now, was the match good? Yes. At the beginning, they did some chain wrestling. They did some rough work. You see a little bit of heelish coming from a Brian Myers. You see how Christian had to rise to the occasion. And in the end, next to Sam, getting his book all ripped up, you eventually get a spear from a Christian Cage and then a kill switch after that to end the match, and he wins. Now, for me, I didn't see anything after that because the recording didn't show if Ace came out to try and do anything. So I don't know if Ace or Madman Fulton came out afterward. Possibly they did. But if they didn't, it was fine. Seeing Christian have that moment was good. Seeing Brian Myers show that he does have skill, but he didn't get a good story, is something I don't agree with. But it doesn't mean he didn't show good showing. Tell me what you guys feel. For me personally, this was a good, it was a good Impact show for Impact Plus. But I don't agree with the first match. I don't agree with the second match. Why did we have the first match that felt too long and the second match there was an 8 mixed person tag? Why? If you didn't show what was going on Impact, regular Impact Zone, and you do it PDI, at least you could have mentioned a little bit more. I mean, they did show something, but it wasn't enough for me personally. But that's just me. Peace.